Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first of our double daily press conferences in the run-up to the general election. We're going to be holding two press conferences every day at 11 a.m. and at 3 p.m. every single day between now and Wednesday the 16th in order to explain to you in greater detail some of the fantastic policies set out in our manifesto. You've seen our manifesto. It's being distributed around Gibraltar. It's 148 pages long and 148 pages of detail, not 148 pages of waffle, not 121 pages of U-turns, and not 60 odd pages of reviews, 148 pages of detail of what our program for government for Gibraltar is. And of course 148 pages is long. Many people will simply look at the areas that interest them and not necessarily at the whole of the manifesto. So we think it's our obligation to take you through some of the best aspects of what we are proposing to do and to extract that from the body of the manifesto. And today we're going to start doing that with Paul Balban, dealing with issues relating to transport and travel and parking, all of the things that really do matter in our everyday lives, and indeed things which are intimately connected to our attitude to the environment. I see a lot of people in Gibraltar saying that they are committed to sustainability, committed to the environment, and I see them drive around in their diesel-burning 4x4s every day. Now, I think it's important that some of us need big vehicles and we should be able to use them when we need them, but we certainly do not need to use them every single day. And on this issue, as on many others, Paul Balban has led by example. So I'm going to ask him now to take over this morning and to take us through the key issues that he wants to highlight in those pages of the manifesto, in those pages of the commitments we're giving you about where we want to take Gibraltar in the next 4 years if you vote for us on the 17th of October, and give you the flavour of his view of how Gibraltar should change even further in this respect in the next 4 years.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to start off by saying how immensely proud I am of this manifesto, and I would like to now to run you through what I want to see as the best of the highlights of the area that concerns me at the present moment in time as Minister for Traffic and Transport. First of all, it's important to state and to stress that our commitment to the environment in this manifesto is absolutely huge. It is an embodiment of the work I've been doing for many years, and now the manifesto itself is leading us in the direction that I've been trying to push, which is that of the STTPP, which is trying to encourage sustainable alternative modes of transport and try to delve into the fabric of what makes us this society of us in Gibraltar, the way that we cling to our vehicles and how we use our vehicles on a daily basis. At the end of the day, it is what people want. This is what our youth are asking for. Our youth are telling us we need to save our environment, and this manifesto actually takes us there. It's giving us the tools. It's empowering us to be able to launch ahead with our very green initiatives within the manifesto. It is a brave manifesto, and everything to do with the environment has to be brave, but we have to be forward-thinking, and we have to do this for us and for future generations. We are not saying don't use your car. What we're saying is we're going to actively encourage people to want to use their other forms of travel, walking and cycling, and using the bus service, which will be very much improved. One of the key projects that we have in terms of parking, because we also feel that it's necessary to improve parking stock, at least in certain areas, because otherwise there won't be a fair spread of parking throughout Gibraltar. There's sufficient parking in Zone 3 in the South District, but that cannot be said, the same cannot be said for the parking within the upper town especially. So as part of our project, the next slide shows us our commitment to parking in the upper town. There are two parking car parks will be constructed. One of them is at the site of the Plater Youth Club, whereby the Plater Youth Club will actually enjoy brand new premises, completely refurbished premises for their youth club within the building which forms that car park. The second car park is where the tanks are, the water tanks are, along Tankerville just below Willis's Road car park. So these car parks together will provide in the region of 500 new parking spaces within the upper town, which allow us to increase the offering in the upper town, and also allow us to free up some of those very narrow streets in the upper town to be able to support other forms of travel like walking and cycling within the upper town. Another thing which is key to us, and we move on to the next slide, is our commitment to safety. First of all, it's important, what we've stressed, that we want to create the child-friendly city, a child-friendly city. And in doing so, it is important that we take care and we make our roads safer. Throughout Gibraltar, we have seen road calming measures crop up over the past term. Speed cameras, which helps people slow down, and the road calming measures by way of flat top ramps, which we have seen especially in the new projects around our schools. In this way, we can reduce the speed of cars to around 30 kilometers per hour, which keeps our roads safe, especially for children and all of us generally. The next slide shows the commitment that we have had to to our roads in Gibraltar. It wasn't possible to carry out resurfacing works of this magnitude while a lot of construction was still underway. So we have waited, it was diligent to wait until the construction subsided, especially in the areas around Midtown and Ocean Village and Queensway. And now it's the right time to carry out a massive refurbishment project, which we've seen over the past few months, which now, our roads now become safe, the potholes are gone, and this is our commitment to the future. We will continue looking after our roads, making our environment safer for all of us. The next slide shows us the commitment to safety, especially in times when obviously risk of unsavory attacks have happened around the world, and it's something which it's important that we protect, especially in areas where there's a big pedestrian footfall, and that is one of them is Main Street. We started off with those Jersey barriers which people disliked, but they were essential at the time, and then we moved on to beautify them, and they have now become models of the Rock of Gibraltar and cannons and planters. In fact, tourists love to take pictures on these new bollards, which are I think very, very attractive. So Chatham Counterguard, especially in an area where people frequent, and Main Street. And the next stage for us, our commitment in future, is to provide barriers which are retractable by way of sliding mechanism. And this way it is possible to allow certain cars to go through, emergency vehicles to go through unhindered, and still have that effect that we have in case of any potential adverse attack or whatever. Our next slide now shows us our commitment to the bus service. A bus in any community is an essential part of our transport offering. It is something, mass transport is efficient and environmentally friendly, and we have developed different ways of making this attractive to people. And I think the most attractive thing that's happened, my favourite part of the service, is the bus tracker. The bus tracker, it was revolutionary when we launched that, and people, all of a sudden realized that they were in control of the bus. They did not have to wait for the bus endless, well, it wasn't endless, but there were minutes without knowing when that bus would arrive. So, following on from that, next term we'll see other smart improvements to the bus service, where we take this technology to the bus stops and within the buses to make it more attractive and user-friendly. Our new bus map as well shows people and users where they can change, because in Gibraltar many people prefer to catch one bus and that bus will take you to your final destination. That is something which is difficult, because what happens is you create very convoluted bus routes which take a long time to get to your destination. But there's a lot of benefit in changing from one route to the other, because it speeds your travel times. So this map actually is one of the features that we added this year to help in that respect. Now I come to one, obviously, my pet likes, which is cycling. You all know I cycle, and this is a very important way of a form of transport, especially for personal transport. We will be including next term a number of safety features, including advanced bicycle stops, whereby we will allow bicycles to wait right in front of the traffic lights, in front of the vehicle, so they can then, find a clearer path and be able to move on a lot quicker in that respect. They will also be complemented with the traffic light systems, which will allow the bicycles to set off before the traffic behind them. So this is extremely important in terms of cycle safety. We will also be looking at, in fact, we will be as part of our projects, the use of segregated bicycle lanes will make cycling safer for all. So at the moment, people cycle on the road, and some people feel they feel unsafe on our roads. So we will be improving the safety on our roads, and we will be creating pathways off our roads for people who do not want to mix with traffic. And that will be a big part of our commitments to you next term. We will also be encouraging other forms of transport for delivery. So using, by way of using cargo bikes and electric cargo bikes, we'll be encouraging people that work in town to conduct their last mile deliveries on bicycles. And by doing so, we will incentivize their use by allowing extended delivery times through Main Street, which is important, which means that they don't have to adhere to the 9:15 cut-off point. If you're using an electric cargo bike, you will be able to access the inner towns, and your delivery window remains wide open throughout the day. There's many companies who are actually using this form of travel, of delivery throughout major cities around the world. Okay, so we move on now. I said some images of what I've just spoken about, which are the advanced bicycle stops and the cycle lanes. Bicycle parking will form a very important part of our strategy, because people, when they cycle, they want to get to where they want to get to the place they're going and park right outside. So it's important that we provide sufficient infrastructure to permit to allow this to be a comfortable way of getting from A to B. We cannot forget the importance of education, and our Pedal Ready scheme will also help empower and encourage individuals, especially children and adults, and even people who have never cycled before because they've been afraid to or never had the time to learn to cycle. We will now provide a course which will the syllabus will stretch from a grade 0, which is someone who's never cycled, to someone who wants to cycle on roads, busy roads within an urban environment. So we have a team that are already trained up for this course, and the courses start in September. Delivery starts to the schools. Another thing which will form part of our commitment is a bicycle parking app, and that was something where users will be able to find places to park the bicycles. It's very common to actually cycle to places and find, well, where do I park my bike? These bicycle parkings tend to be hidden in many areas, so that will also be part of what we offer. The next slides now, I think it's for me is really the epitome of what the government is providing, making Gibraltar a green Gibraltar. This is something which I can't stress how proud I am. And by creating parks in Gibraltar, we provide ample walking areas for people to be able to walk from A to B without having to mix and mingle with cars, with traffic, in an environment which is healthy and safe, one which will keep us fit. All the parks, especially the green corridor, which will run all the way along Queensway, will provide a means by which people will be able to walk literally most of the length of Gibraltar and cycle throughout Gibraltar without coming into contact with cars. And for me, this embodies everything that I've been trying to achieve with the residential parking schemes and with the traffic plan itself. The parking that was there will be relocated underneath Victoria Quays, so that we will not remove parking. Parkings will still remain, but they will just be located slightly further away. But I said this for me is as part of the manifesto, it's the most, I think it's the biggest part, the part that I feel is something that we will all be proud of, very, very proud of. To encourage and to reinforce how important walking is for all of us, and with the Walk the Wall scheme, which is something which we commenced last term, will be completed, whereby people will be able to walk like they do in the High Line in New York, an area where there'll be greenery, there'll be a beautiful environment away from traffic, and people will be able to walk big distances throughout Gibraltar instead of having to use their private vehicles, their cars, at the moment, if they so wish. To be able to encourage people and to be able to tell people how close things really are, because really in Gibraltar there's not a lot of excuse really sometimes to get cars, and we're driving literally 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters, just over a kilometer. That's where we're going in our cars. But sometimes we don't realize how close things really are. And walking signage will be something which is very valuable and important, so people realize, especially tourists, how far things are. 5-minute walk to the parks, 7 minutes walk to town, and I think that would incentivize people to walk everywhere. I think this sums it up very well. Everywhere is walking distance if you have the time. I think Gibraltar is small enough to be able to boast of being able to walk everywhere. In conclusion, the last thing I will talk about is parking, because obviously it's something which still is very close to our hearts, and people do love their cars in Gibraltar. Parking, we will continue with our parking schemes throughout Gibraltar. We've already carried out zones 1, 2 and 3. They have been very successful for the residents that live within the areas. People who live outside the areas, I think the biggest problem has been not understanding what these zones provide, because some people will say, well, we can't park within other zones that don't belong to us, but they can. Every zone has a booklet which people really should read, because it gives areas, it states areas where people are allowed to park for free between the hours of 8 in the morning and 2 in the morning. So I think it's important that people realize what's on offer within the schemes. It's not just a closed gate community where people cannot access other people's estates. They can. So that's very important. So we will develop the zones. We will continue with zones 4, 5, 6 with the aim of finishing or concluding with all the zones within Gibraltar as soon as possible. So then we can actually see the effect of the parking scheme. Because at the moment, it remains a pilot scheme, because it is a massive experiment when it comes to parking. And this will, once everything is zoned, we'll be able to see how the zones interact, and then we'll be in a better position to be able to tweak and see where we go from there. And then everyone will be able to enjoy their areas and enjoy finding parking, just like people that live in zone 3 will enjoy coming home after work, after school, and finding parking at home. And I think that is extremely valuable. So in order to conclude, I would like to stress how excited I am if the people of Gibraltar were to obviously choose us to come back into government on the 18th of October, to be able to move forward with this very green vision that we have of Gibraltar, with this creating this child-friendly city for our children, and really moving ahead with something which we can all be proud of, something green, and something that we can, a legacy we can leave our children, for years to come. So I'm immensely proud of the work we're doing, and very excited with what's coming our way. And I'll now leave you with the Chief Minister.
Thank you very much indeed. I think all in this party have been very impressed by the commitment of young people to the environment. The movement that Greta Thunberg is leading around the world is one that has touched us greatly, and which I know the Minister for the Environment has been wanting to harness in some way. We all have to understand our obligations in respect of how we look after our planet, what we do each day which causes emissions and which causes pollution. And it is really quite inspirational to see Paul putting his money where his mouth is, and getting on a bike every day and leaving the car behind, and designing policies which are really about persuading others to do the same thing. And I think sometimes we do need to pause for thought. In Gibraltar, we need to understand that we're getting in our vehicles to go less than a kilometer's distance, that actually walking 2 kilometers is something that is good for you, as well as being very easy and very manageable, and that those who need to use their vehicles must be helped to use their vehicles with traffic more under control, because those of us who don't need to use their vehicles are not using them, and with better parking schemes in those areas where parking is still a problem, such as in the upper town, where the provision of approximately 500 parking spaces in the area of Moorish Castle and Tankerville will, in our view, now eradicate the problem that there is there, although there will still have to be controls, and providing a new Plato Youth Club also in the process. So this is the right program for Gibraltar now, but we're going to make Gibraltar even more attractive a place to walk along. I am so looking forward to the Walk the Wall. If the people of Gibraltar give us the opportunity to stay in government, Walk the Wall will be one of our flagship projects. The parks at Queensway will be one of our flagship projects. We'll be saying something also about one of them being accessible to pet dogs as well. And this is the Gibraltar I think everybody wants to see. This election is about Brexit, stability, and the security of our nation, of course. But it is also about other issues. And when you look at those other issues, and you look at the plans that we have in our manifesto, having seen what the others have published, I think it's now even clearer that the best ideas for Gibraltar, for our future, for our children, and for our green nation are in the GSLP Liberal Manifesto 2019, which really does aspire to deliver the best Gibraltar that we can be. Thank you very much indeed. We'll now take questions in the room.